Today is Monday, November 10th, 2025. This is First Alert Weather Plus. Meteorologist Nicholas Snyder here, and oh boy, did we have a doozy of a day all around the area with all the snow activity that we did see over much of the region and things of that nature. What a day. Some locations seeing their first accumulating snow of the year. Certainly something that we are really going to talk about here, and things that you need to know as far as the rest of the night is going to really be brought up here as well. So, first and foremost, I want to take a look at what's going on right now outside. Of course, we're dealing with this heavy band of snow that has moved its way on into the area, and this has driven the development of quite a bit of activity that has worked on in. So we're going to talk about that continued snow. We're also going to be talking about the better conditions that could be headed our way a little bit later on here. We're also going to talk about just exactly what you can expect for that long-term forecast and everything that you need to know in terms of that. We could be seeing quite a bit of milder conditions headed back into the area, which is certainly a welcome sight for a lot of people, I'm sure, over much of the region. So let's take a look at what's going on here. I want you to notice this big bowling ball area of low pressure. This little piece of energy that is working its way now further to the south and east here. It's pulled in a lot of moisture from the Gulf, and that has lifted up and over some colder air to produce that band of snow we did see, where we kind of caught in between two areas of energy here. Of course, this one is the one that we saw today impact us. And then we have this next one up here. So in between that, we had a little bit of warm air kind of wedged in there, and that's what kind of drove that band of snow we saw. Some locations, again, saw quite a few inches of snow later today, and that was certainly a sight to be seen. Let's take a look at our radar picture. That band of snow well to the south of the I-64 corridor right now, but still impacting a good chunk of the WSAZ viewing area. Very heavy snow is currently falling along Corridor L here. Summersville down through Fayetteville. South and east of Corridor G now. Madison through Logan through Williamson, seeing a lot of that activity. Pikeville getting in on some of that heavier snow as well. Prestonsburg exiting that band right now. You could, in this band of snow, pick up maybe a quick half an inch of snow. I'll highlight this for you. Again, here's that band. A quick half an inch of snow cannot be ruled out here with very fast snowfall rates. Now, Charleston saw the brunt of this during the rush hour. We saw quite a bit of bad traffic issues, including multiple crashes along I-64 in Kanawha County today. Luckily, things have calmed down quite a bit over there. Now, I want you to notice in southern Ohio, where we saw this band really just roaring all day. I want to take you back a little bit earlier. Let's pause the radar now, and then we'll take you a little bit earlier on in the day here, where we saw this band just sticking over southern Ohio, over portions of Jackson County, West Virginia. The US 33 corridor got slammed today. The Roane County area, Spencer, Grantsville, Calhoun County, got slammed today by this band. Again, you just see it just kind of staying stationary. Pretty much, and let me draw this for you. This is State Route 32 going through Jackson, Athens here. And then this is US 33 going through Ravenswood, through Ripley, out towards Spencer and Grantsville. In this zone here, let me change that pen color for you here. In this zone here is where we got hardest hit. We saw a good 3 to 6 inches in some spots. I know the Lucasville area got 4 inches of snow at least today. Waverly, Piketon seeing similar amounts out toward the Jackson area. Surely we saw quite a few inches of snow. Got a report in Gallia County, rural inland Gallia County, seeing maybe 3 or so inches of that snow. So quite a bit of that activity. And again, even toward Charleston, we probably picked up a quick inch. I did see some snow accumulating to the roadways on that Charleston camera. Here's a look at what we saw around the region, some of the reports that I got through the National Weather Service, some of the reports that I took, and maybe some of my own measurements that I took out there. Huntington at 5/10 of an inch, or as we like to call it, a half an inch of snow that fell over in that general area. I took that measurement just after the band moved through, so that's our final total, half an inch of snow in Huntington. That did bring us up from this morning's snow to about 3/4 of an inch, we'll say, 0.75 inches of that snow in Huntington. Patriot, Ohio, though, 3¼ inches right there. Point Pleasant, 1.5 inches. I'm sure we saw more snow since then in that general area. Barbersville, again, 3/4 of an inch of snow likely, and then Wilkesville, Ohio, up in Vinton County, that's up along US 50, or just to the south of US 50, rather. They saw 1.5 inches and likely more as we headed, again, a little bit later on today. Here's that area of low pressure that brought in all the snow. That little X is where that marks the spot here. This will work its way further to the east. We're going to see some less energy move in, and that'll surely help the situation in terms of the weather over our area overnight tonight. However, we will see this moisture continue to stream in from the Great Lakes, and so that's what we're really tracking for the rest of the night here is areas in the mountains, seeing that Great Lakes moisture lifted up and over the mountains, and seeing that more of that precipitation produced. Meanwhile, drier air will be set to work on in as we head into the afternoon hours of tomorrow, and things will look better there. So here's our futurecast. Again, this is where we are about now. That band of snow well to the south, mainly impacting the coal fields and into the mountains, south and east of Corridor G, basically. Later into the night, things will clear out briefly for everyone, and then we start to see that lake-enhanced or lake effect moisture work its way back into the area. You're talking Sutton, Summersville, out toward Richwood, out toward Fayetteville even, seeing a lot of that snow moving its way back in. And this is where you could see quite a few additional inches of that snow later over on tonight. I do think final totals out in Summersville, 3 to 6 inches. Higher amounts if you're out toward the Richwood area, where we could see 6 or more inches. This is our snow total map, storm total accumulation. That does include what we saw this morning. And again, we're tracking 6 to 8 for snowshoes, 6 to 8 even for the Richwood area. A lot of Webster County, if you're watching from there, Webster Springs, could even see 8 or more inches of snow out of this event. 3 to 6 final totals in Summersville. Here's that band that impacted southern Ohio, portions of Gallia County, Jackson County, West Virginia, and Ohio, into Roane and Calhoun counties, Clay County, for instance, too. That general 3 to 6 inches right in there. Buffalo, I know, up in northern Putnam County, they got slammed with snow today, too. Further to the south, you're talking around 1 inch for those of us in Huntington, Charleston. A couple of inches in Portsmouth once everything's set and done. And I do think things are set and done in Portsmouth, so your final total is about 1 to 3. Pikeville around 1 inch, Logan around 1 inch. If you go into those higher elevation locations in Pike County, Kentucky, into Logan County, West Virginia, that's where you could start to see some more of that snow add up with a couple of inches of snow. Same thing for the Madison area, same thing for the Williamson area, Mingo and Boone counties. Lower elevation, see under 1 inch, and then those higher elevation locations getting up to a couple of inches. But that's not the only thing we're worried about as we head into tomorrow. We're also tracking, of course, a big temperature drop overnight tonight. In areas that don't see a lot of that snow tonight, you're talking lows into the middle and upper 20s. What this is going to do is really drive the development of some black ice. I know a lot of locations didn't see accumulation on the roadways. Those roadways are pretty wet right now. And so with the wet roadways, with those cold temperatures, you're likely to see black ice tomorrow morning. So even if you're not in those higher elevation locations, you're likely going to be dealing with quite a bit of tough travel for that morning commute. So we're continuing that first alert weather day through the morning commute tomorrow because of what is headed our way. So obviously this is a very early start to the winter season. Meteorologist Tony Cavalier has much more on just how early we've seen that snow and where this ranks in terms of past first snowfalls.
As we start to transition into the colder months of the year.
So with all this talk of snow, as we head into the new working school week, Nicholas Snyder is of course going to update you on exactly what has happened. But I'm taking on Friday night. And I've done a climatology. Do you remember when we studied statistics in grade school? The teacher would talk about averages, and he or she would talk about the median. That would be half before, half after a certain number. So I like to use median dates as far as snowfall is concerned. These metrics are 37 years and counting from my stay here at WSAZ. And the first flurry of the season, half years are before Veterans Day, half years are after. Of course, we will have had, by the time you watch this, we will have had the first snow showers of the season. The first dusting often occurs right around Thanksgiving or Black Friday. And again, expectations are we may very well have had that first dusting of snow as you join Nicholas on Weather Extra Plus. The first inch of snow, plus or minus, happens around Pearl Harbor Day on December the 7th. And again, there's a chance we will have had all three of these in parts of the area. Certainly, these are numbers that are geared toward the Ohio, Big Sandy, and Kanawha Valley, with naturally different numbers up in the mountains of West Virginia. The first good snowstorm of the season, you ask, it normally occurs around mid and late January, centered around Martin Luther King Day. So we're not going to have a big snow in all probability, but it just gives you whet your appetite for what could come later on in the season. Big snows of renown during my tenure at WSAZ, the blizzard of 1993, the Martin Luther King huge snowstorm in 1994. In 1996, we had a big blizzard in January. So that trilogy, 93, 94, 96, in 4 years, we had 3 big dumps of snow. Okay, more recently, 2015 and 2016 were big snows as we headed into the heart of the season, the heart of the winter season. And I do want to point out that the 2016 storm will be my focus of attention on one of the stories I'm doing in our winter weather special, and that will be the day after Thanksgiving, between 5 and 6 o'clock. Wouldn't it be something if the first flurry, dusting, and inch of snow has occurred by the time Nicholas Snyder joins you here on First Alert Plus?
Well, Tony, we saw our first inch, our first dusting, and our first snow all today, and some locations seeing even more than that. Again, I showed you those reports a little bit earlier on. Places like interior southern Ohio, north central West Virginia, all picking up even a couple of inches, 3 to 4 inches, in fact. Places like Lucasville, Buffalo, West Virginia, out toward the Patriot, Ohio area, Gallia County, even over toward the Spencer area where they saw quite a bit of snow. So really depended upon where you are. Again, that band of snow really was a menacing band of snow for some of us today. All right, meteorologist Hannah Hayes now has more on just exactly the snowflake types you could be seeing and how that can impact your snow accumulation headed further and further down the line here.
As we start to transition into the colder months of the year, we will and we have seen snow falling across the region. There are several types of snowflakes that are dependent on the temperature. Like, for example, thin plate snowflakes are flat, hexagonal types of snowflakes that are a six-sided crystal. They are more common when the outside temperature is between around 25 to 32 degrees. Now, needle snowflakes are long and thin, and they form when things are a bit colder, from 21 to 25 degrees. These are more uncommon due to the length and they grow as, and the temperature that they do grow in. They appear like small white hairs if you see them on your clothing, and they appear when conditions are colder, into the 20s, and humid. The next type of snowflake is a hollow column. These form in temperatures between around 14 and 21 degrees. This shape is created from the central portion of the snowflake that will grow slower than the ends, which create the hollow core. They aren't very visibly identified without a magnifying glass, though, but when you get a close look, they look like short and empty spools. Now, stellar plates are very easily identified, and they are a star-shaped crystal that forms when the temperature is around 10 to 14 degrees, which is very, very cold. No two are exactly the same. The higher humidity leads to more elaborate crystals, while the lower humidity makes them look more average and similar. Dendrites form around 3 to 10 degrees, and they are tree-like snowflakes that start growing from their central point, which makes smaller branches as they form. These often look pretty complex, and they create a fluffy snow that makes them easy to identify for everyone out looking to label the snowflakes that they see during a really snowy day. So if you find yourself outside during snowfall this winter, try to identify any snowflakes that you see on your jacket or hood of your car, and see if you can tell the difference.
Thank you, Hannah. And an important thing to note, too, those dendrites, those are the big snowflakes that you typically see in big snowstorms. Those are the ones that really cause some quick accumulation rates. You could see up to an inch an hour in some spots. And we certainly saw that today when you get that upward lift in what's known as the dendritic growth zone, which is the zone between -10 and -14 degrees Celsius. That creates some issues for you. And we definitely, again, saw that today. As we headed throughout the day, basically along US 33 in West Virginia and State Route 32 here in Ohio. All right, let's talk about the end of the week. Of course, we're in that cold air mass right now, this big bowling ball trough, or as more simpler terms, this area of low pressure aloft right here, has brought in the coldest air of the season so far. We could see some more cooler temperatures later on in fall, but as we head into winter, things will start to get even colder here. But what's headed our way is a surge of warmer air. Notice this little raised up portion in our upper level pattern right here. That's some warm air back to the west, and that's really going to help us in terms of really raising those temperatures back up as we head into the weekend. In fact, notice again, this bowling ball trough pushes its way further to the east, sets up over much of the western Atlantic here, so we should be dealing with those colder temperatures out toward Nova Scotia, out toward Bermuda, whereas meanwhile, we're starting to see those warmer conditions work their way back into our area as we head into the weekend, and again, we're going to start to feel a lot better going into the weekend and start to see some conditions really improving, like I mentioned earlier. So let's show you these temperatures. Again, we're in that cold air mass right now. We should stick around in somewhat cooler air mass temperatures back, let's say, into the 50s as we head into the middle part of the week. But once we head into the weekend, look at this surge of, again, warmer air back into the area that will allow us to see more comfortable temperatures. I do think middle and upper 60s will definitely be doable as we head into the weekend, and we will certainly take that over the just mess of weather that we did see today. That's showing up here in our long-range pattern, and we'll kind of give you an idea of why this is happening. That North Atlantic oscillation is going to go back positive. We're going to see that colder air filter in back here. That's that bowling ball trough working its way further to the east. Meanwhile, the polar vortex starting to strengthen up once again up here in the Arctic Circle, and we're starting to see some colder air retreat back into Alaska as well. So that surge of warmer air likely coming again by Saturday. As we move further and further on down the line here, we will start to see things vastly improve here and continue to see those warmer temperatures just work their way back into the area. I'll clear out that map so you can see again more clearly what's going on. Again, that North Atlantic oscillation goes back positive. That Eastern Pacific oscillation, which is the Alaskan cold air, is still positive as well. Positive here, positive there, and positive Arctic oscillation with all the cold air trapped up there will lead to, again, very warm temperatures even as we head into next week. So next week, looking like an extended warm period is headed our way. And the rest of November, dare I say, could even be on the warmer side of things, which is good news for warm weather lovers. I know not so good news for the skiers and the snow lovers like me out there. But December could mean a pattern change a little bit later on down the line. We'll talk about that here in subsequent episodes of First Alert Weather Plus. But there have been some signals that we could start to see a little bit of those cooler conditions start to work back in. So a closer look again. We start to get warm by the end of this week, especially into the weekend. Could cool down just a little bit once we head into the beginning of next week, but a surge of that warm air moves back in for the end of next week, allowing us to see some very comfortable temperatures and just beautiful, beautiful conditions that I'm sure a lot of us will be really looking forward to with these warmer colors working their way back in. All right, so the Climate Prediction Center agreeing with me here, pretty much saying pretty good chance of above normal temperatures in days 6 to 10. This would be Sunday through Thursday of next week. Above normal temperatures will definitely take. Again, today's high was in the 30s. Being in the 60s will certainly feel a lot better. What we do know, though, is above average precipitation does continue. And what's lost in all of what we've seen today is, yes, we've been in a drought for much of the winter time frame. Much of the beginning of the fall time frame. So this precipitation we saw today, the above normal precipitation that we are going to be seeing down the line here is certainly going to help that drought situation and make things vastly improved, especially for those of us out toward Webster County, eastern Nicholas County, southern Braxton County, who've been dealing with those drought conditions here for a while. Could even see a few showers as we head into Sunday here. Just a chance of showers on Saturday morning with a little warm front coming in. That warm front is really going to raise those temperatures back up, though. 65 by Saturday, 66 by Sunday. Weak little cold front slides in. That's that brief cooler down, not really cool down, but cooler down, headed our way for Monday. Temperatures back into the upper 50s and lower 60s. One thing we have to watch tomorrow morning, again, is the morning commute. We could be dealing with some patchy black ice, and that could run into some issues in terms of the travel even if you're not in the higher elevations dealing with that snow. That is definitely something to keep in mind here. This is First Alert Weather Plus. We air every Monday, 6:45 to 7 p.m., give you the latest on what you need to know in terms of the weather and go in depth on all that weather information. Got a lot to talk about today with all the snow that's coming our way, and be sure to stay tuned because as we head later and later on into the winter season, winter storm chances are going to go up, and you will be the first to know, I promise you, about any storm system that heads our way if you do tune in to First Alert Weather Plus. Meteorologist Nicholas Snyder on Facebook. Tony Cavalier is Tony Cavalier on Facebook. Dylan Goday is Dylan Goday Weather on Facebook. Be sure to check out our YouTube channel too, First Alert Weather Plus, WSAZ First Alert Weather Plus, that is. We post this video every Tuesday, and you can go back and watch past episodes as well as some exclusive content that we post there. In the meantime, I'm meteorologist Nicholas Snyder. Make it a great Monday.